Module 6, Developing and Implementing Cybersecurity Policies and Standards. Welcome back. As we continue our exploration, having covered Governance G, Risk Management R, and the Compliance C landscape in our previous modules, we now arrive at a critical juncture, translating strategy into tangible action. How do you ensure that the governance directives, risk treatment decisions, and compliance requirements we've discussed are consistently understood and followed throughout your organization? The answer lies in well-developed and effectively implemented cybersecurity policies and standards. Policies are the formal expression of management's intent. They are the documented rules of the road for cybersecurity within your organization. Without clear, documented policies, expectations become ambiguous, practices inconsistent, compliance difficult to prove, and accountability nearly impossible to enforce. Especially in dynamic environments like Lagos and Abuja, where business practices and technology adoption evolve quickly, having a solid policy framework provides essential stability and guidance. In this module, you will learn the art and science of creating effective cybersecurity policies. We will delve into why documentation is so crucial, explore the process for developing policies that align directly with your GRC objectives, and clarify the important distinctions within the policy hierarchy: policies, standards, guidelines, procedures. You'll understand the entire policy lifecycle, from creation to retirement, and critically, how to communicate and enforce these rules effectively. We'll also examine examples of key cybersecurity policies that nearly every modern organization needs. Think of this module as learning how to write the specific laws and regulations for your organization's cybersecurity nation, ensuring everyone knows the rules and how to follow them. Upon successful completion of this module, you should be able to understand and articulate the critical importance of formally documented cybersecurity policies, standards, and procedures. Describe a structured process for developing effective cybersecurity policies that are directly aligned with broader GRC objectives. Clearly distinguish between policies, standards, guidelines, and procedures within a policy framework hierarchy. Discuss the key phases involved in the complete policy lifecycle management process. Understand effective strategies for communicating policies to employees and approaches for ensuring policy enforcement. Identify the purpose and key elements of common and essential cybersecurity policies, e.g. AOP, access control, incident response. The indispensable role of documentation, why written policies matter. In some organizational cultures, there might be a reliance on informal rules or the way things have always been done. While culture is important, relying solely on unwritten expectations for cybersecurity is fraught with peril. Formal, documented policies, standards, and procedures are indispensable for several key reasons. 1. Clarity and consistency. Written documents provide a clear, unambiguous statement of requirements and expectations. This ensures everyone receives the same message and understands their responsibilities, reducing confusion and promoting consistent practices across departments and locations. 2. Setting expectations. Policies formally communicate management's stance on cybersecurity issues and define acceptable and unacceptable behavior regarding technology use and data handling. 3. Basis for training. Documented policies and procedures form the core content for security awareness training programs, ensuring employees are educated on specific organizational requirements. 4. Enforceability. It is extremely difficult to enforce rules that aren't written down. Documented policies provide a clear basis for corrective action or disciplinary measures in coordination with HR when violations occur. 5. Compliance evidence. Regulators like the NDPC enforcing the NDPA or the CBN, and auditors for standards like ISO 27000 and 1, PCI DSS, SOC 2, almost always require documented policies and procedures as primary evidence that controls are defined and operational. You must be able to show your documented rules. 6. Legal protection. In the event of a security incident or legal dispute, documented policies and proof of employee training on those policies can help demonstrate that the organization exercised due care and diligence in its security efforts. 7. Knowledge retention. Policies capture organizational knowledge and requirements, ensuring continuity even when key personnel leave. 8. Foundation for automation. Clear policies and standards provide the requirements needed to configure technical controls and automate enforcement where possible. Simply put, if it isn't written down, approved, and communicated, it's not a reliable organizational requirement. Documentation transforms intentions into actionable and enforceable rules. Developing effective cybersecurity policies, creating policies isn't just about writing rules. It's about crafting documents that are effective, understandable, and achieve specific GRC objectives. A good policy development process ensures alignment and usability. Let's look at these steps together. Connecting policy to GRC, remember. Policies don't exist in a vacuum. They should directly flow from governance, implementing directives from leadership, and governance committees. Risk management, addressing specific risks identified and implementing chosen risk treatment strategies. E.g., a policy requiring encryption might be a treatment for the risk of data exposure. Compliance, ensuring adherence to specific legal, regulatory, or contractual requirements. E.g., an incident response policy is needed to meet NDPA GDPR breach notification requirements. Characteristics of a good policy: clear and concise, written in plain language, avoiding excessive jargon. Employees should be able to understand what is required of them. Brevity is key where possible. Actionable, clearly states what actions are required, permitted, or prohibited. Enforceable requirements should be realistic and capable of being monitored and enforced both technically and administratively. Avoid rules that are impossible to follow or check. Accessible, easily available to all employees who need to know them, e.g., published on a central intranet portal. Approved, formally approved by the appropriate level of management to signify authority and organizational backing. Aligned, consistent with applicable laws like NDPA, regulations, CBN rules, industry standards, and the organization's culture and objectives. Specific yet flexible, where appropriate. Policies set the high-level direction. Standards provide specifics. Avoid overly rigid policies that stifle necessary business functions but ensure core principles are non-negotiable. A practical policy development process includes: 1. Identify the need. Determine why a policy or update is required. Is it driven by a new regulation like NDPA, a recent incident, a risk assessment finding, a new technology, or a gap identified in an audit? 2. Research and information gathering. Collect relevant information, including legal, regulatory requirements, industry best practices, referencing frameworks like ISO 27002 or NIST, existing related internal documents, and technical constraints. 3. Draft the policy. Write an initial draft, focusing on clarity, scope, objectives, key requirements, the policy statement, roles and responsibilities, compliance enforcement details, and references to related standards or procedures. Use a standard template for consistency. 4. Stakeholder review. Circulate the draft to key stakeholders for feedback. This should include representatives from IT, security, legal, compliance, HR, relevant business units, and potentially risk management and audit. This ensures practicality, enforceability, and alignment. 5. Refine the draft, incorporate feedback, and revise the policy document. Ensure internal consistency and clarity. 6. Management approval. Submit the final draft to the designated approval authority, e.g., CISO, steering committee, relevant executive for formal sign-off. The approval should match the policy's scope and authority level. 7. Publication and dissemination. Officially publish the approved policy in a central accessible location, e.g., company intranet policy portal. Announce the new updated policy to all affected employees. More on communication later. 8. Implementation. Ensure any necessary supporting standards, procedures, controls, or training are put in place to enable compliance with the policy. This structured process helps ensure policies are well thought out, widely understood, supported, and effective.